I call this meeting of the Weslaco Independent School District to order. The time is 12:12. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present. All those present is Dr. Jaime Rodriguez, Dr. Richard Rivera, myself, Oscar Caballero, and Mr. Andrew Gonzalez. This meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Okay, on the discussion items, we have item number 3, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of a membership in the Orion Consortium, and B, agreement with Region 1 for Internet Access Service 10 Gbps fiber connectivity.
Board of Trustees, the purpose of this consortium is to create a region-wide consortium to lower the costs of Internet access, provide higher speed access, disaster recovery, and flexibility to maintain and/or increase capacity. The membership consortium is for a minimum of 4 years and is renewed automatically on July 1st of each calendar year for up to 6 consecutive years unless a consortium member, that is us, Weslaco ISD, provides written notice to Region 1 by March 1st of the calendar year, or 120 days notice. The district will be responsible for paying $18,000 per year for the first 4 years, but this is pre-E-rate. We get, what, a 90% deduction for E-rate?
Correct.
And the district can continue the contract for up to 6 additional years at $12,000, that's pre-E-rate again, so it'd be about $1,200 a year. Weslaco ISD will be gaining 2.5 times of the current internet speed for approximately half of our current cost in the first 4 years and 1/3 of our current cost in the last 6 years. The total cost for the district with E-rate applied, right, for 10 years will be $14,440. So it's a great deal. We are recommending that you approve our membership in the Orion Consortium and the agreement with Region 1 ESC for Internet Access Service connectivity.
It's our first year?
It would be, next year would be our
The
first year?
first year would be 2020,
2020.
because it takes time to build out the network with the leased fiber.
Recommend approval?
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Rivera and a second by Dr. Rodriguez to approve the membership of the Orion Consortium and B, agreement with the Region 1 for Internet Access Service 10 Gbps fiber connectivity. All those in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, discussion, right? What is it?
You can ask for discussion if there's any additional.
Yeah,
Oh.
Doc, can you just explain exactly what this will do for our students?
Okay. Well, the way that I understand it, Mr. Martinez is here to clarify my understanding. Higher speed access to internet, which is important. For our staff, disaster recovery, which means what, in a nutshell?
Well, in our case, because it's a fiber ring, it's 312 miles of fiber ring hitting all the districts. So we're going to get hit by both sides, 10 gig redundant connections. So if for some reason there's a fiber cut in anywhere in the ring, we connect the other way. And the way they're looking at that, we have 3 different rings, the east wing, the center wing, and the west wing. So that's how they're going to develop the whole thing, but we'll have redundancy built in there. Right now, currently, we have 4 gigs for the whole district, and this will be 10 gigs. And by my calculations, and also what's recommended by the nation is we should be close to 10 gigs or higher by the year 2020 for the students.
So this will get us to 10 gigs?
Yes.
So it'll be 2.5 times faster at half the cost for the first 4 years.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes to approve the A, membership of Orion Consortium, and B, agreement of the Region 1 for Internet Access Service 10 gigabytes fiber connectivity.
Carlos Technologies, second to no one.
Now we're going to number 4.
All right. All right, so the next discussion item, item number 4, discussion and possible action for the board to consider, number 1, approval of the administration's recommendation of the ranking of the proposals received for the construction of the improvements to the girls' athletic facilities and boys' athletic facilities at Weslaco High School and Weslaco East High School project, and 2, to authorize administration to enter into contract negotiations and approve a contract for this project, CSP 180521. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this project was ranked as a need by the Facilities Committee. On February 13th, you approved the project. On May 30th, 2017, you approved the hiring of PBK Architects to design the plans and specifications. On December 11th, 2017, you voted to approve the following: the competitive seal proposal method of construction, delegating the ranking authority to administration, and you approved the criterion points. A total of 7 proposals were received for this project. After reviewing all the proposals, the ranking committee recommends that Rigney Construction LLC from Edinburgh, Texas be awarded this project. There is a chart of information that shows that Rigney Construction, total project cost is $5,276,000. It's going to take 240 days to complete. It was awarded 600 points, the highest. The second vendor, in terms of awarded points, was 67,000 more than the first ranked. We had allotted $5,298,000 to this project, and this is slightly under the amount allotted or allocated. So we're moving that you recommend administration's ranking for the proposals received for the construction of the improvements to the girls' and boys' athletic facilities at Weslaco High School and Weslaco East High School. This constitutes approval for administration to start negotiations with contractor ranked number 1, Rigney Construction LLC, located in Edinburgh, Texas. If negotiations cannot be agreed on with contractor ranked number 1, the district will end negotiations with that contractor in writing and start with contractor ranked number 2.
Now, we had talked about some extras or some add-ons. This includes the add-ons?
It's my understanding includes the Mondo flooring, the lockers, and the roofing that was needed, right?
Roofing at Weslaco High
At
School.
Weslaco High School.
Lockers and flooring at both field houses, yes. The initial budget was $4.6 million that we had.
I'll
Have
move
you-
to approve.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I second.
All right, we have a motion by Dr. Jaime Rodriguez and a second by Dr. Richard Rivera to approve the administration's recommendation of the rankings of the proposals received for the construction of the improvements to the girls' athletic facilities and boys' athletic facilities at Weslaco High School and Weslaco East High School project, and 2, to authorize administration to enter into contract negotiations and approve a contract for this project is that it?
As recommended.
As recommended by the administration.
One little
Any discussion, any more discussion?
one question. Andres, who was on the committee to rank them?
It's right here on the second page. We had individuals, Sergio Garcia, myself, Coach Oscar Rojas, Americo Garza, Valdemar Garcia, and from Architects PBK, David Iglesias.
Okay. Have you checked this company to see if in past projects they have many change orders?
No, I haven't. We awarded them to do the pavilions as well. Some references that we looked at, they were good, they didn't
Because
mention
you might
anything.
get this price right now, but with all the change orders, it goes quite a bit higher.
Yes, no, we'll be
So can you
careful.
just kind of just check to see if this company has any past jobs they've done with many change orders added to it?
Yeah.
To the original cost?
Well, we looked at the proposal, what we had there, didn't mention anything like that, but we can do some following up if you'd like us to.
Mr. Iglesias, have you worked with this company before?
It's been several years, yes, I have. But when we sit down and meet with them to discuss the contract, yes, we can see if we can reduce the
Please,
best
just
and final
kind of
offer.
referencing what Dr. Rivera is mentioning, make sure that since it's been a couple of years since you've worked with them, and I don't know if the district has prior Just make sure that there's not too many change orders, as we did increase the budget to complete the project. So please, if you just
Yes.
let Andres know.
Yeah, when we sit in front of them, we'll ask them the questions. Be
And
sure
this
that
is the
they
best
have
and final offer? Can you still negotiate?
Well, we're going to meet with them after the award to work that out.
Let's
Try
see
and
what we can-
negotiate
Yes.
the best and final price?
Correct.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes to approve the administration's recommendation of the ranking of the proposals received for the construction of the improvements to the growth athletic facilities and boys athletic facilities at Weslaco High School and Weslaco East High School project. And two, to authorize administration to enter into contract negotiations and approve a contract for this project, CSP 180521, as recommended by administration. Okay, now to item number 5, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of a resolution to ratify the lease purchase transaction with PNC Equipment Finance LLC for the acquisition of a new digital scoreboard for Bobby Lackey Stadium. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, on April 17, 2018, you approved the district to enter into a lease purchase transition with PNC Equipment Finance LLC of Cincinnati, Ohio, to finance the acquisition of a new digital scoreboard for Bobby Lackey Stadium. As part of their legal requirements, PNC Equipment Finance LLC needs a board resolution indicating approval for Weslaco ISD to enter into the lease purchase agreement with PNC Equipment Finance LLC. So we're recommending that you approve this resolution to ratify the lease purchase transaction with PNC Equipment Finance LLC for the acquisition of the new digital scoreboard for Bobby Lackey Stadium. So it's something that they require.
Right, my understanding is that they wouldn't take the minutes of the board meeting where the board authorized approval of PNC, and so they're requiring a resolution.
But the terms stay the same.
Everything stayed the same?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Andrew Gonzalez and a second by Dr. Jaime Rodriguez to approve a resolution to ratify the lease purchase transaction with PNC Equipment Finance LLC for the acquisitions of the new digital scoreboard for Bobby Lackey Stadium. Any further discussion?
One question, Andres.
Yes, sir.
Your payment is due in September,
Yes.
$109,000. How much do you have so far
But
as to
About
commit?
78,000 that we collected for the current year. So we're budgeting the excess right now from the local maintenance.
You have the sponsors already?
For that, yes. We're going to be working on the additional space that we're going to have. Mr. Robledo is working on that. We're trying to secure a couple of additional sponsors for additional funding. We don't have the final number yet, but we do have additional company that we're working with.
Because the first, well, every year is about $220,000.
The total,
The
yes.
two payments, the two payments.
Yeah, 2 payments,
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? None. Motion passes to approve a resolution to ratify the lease purchase transaction with PNC Equipment Finance LLC for the acquisitions of a new digital scoreboard for Bobby Lackey Stadium. And for the item number 6, closed meeting to discuss A, personnel matters, Texas Government Code 551.074, number 1, employment of personnel, number 2, resignations, number 3, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment evaluation, reassignments, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public office or employee, Texas Government Code 551.074 and 551.071. A, discussion of renewal of probationary contract for teacher for the 2018-2019 school year. Discussion. B, discussion of renewal of term contract for librarian for the 2018-2019 school year. B, consultation with attorney regarding A, pending or contemplated litigation, B, a settlement offer, or C, a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the Weslaco ISD under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code 551071. So now we go to executive session, and the time is 12:27. Okay, the time is 1:46. 12:46, I'm sorry. And going back to item number 7, reconvene in open meeting. Item A, possible action. Dr. Canales, we don't have anything on that one. Item B, discussion and possible action on new employment. Dr. Canales,
That's a no action. It's a no action.
no action?
Yes, sir.
For a new employment,
Yes.
It's the contracts.
no action.
No action? All right. All right.
Oh, it's D&E.
Item C, discussion and possible action on resignations.
Board of Trustees, we recommend resignations as discussed, the approval of resignations as discussed in closed session.
And because there are mid-year resignations, the board should take some action on.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Andrew Gonzalez and a second by Dr. Jaime Rodriguez to approve as discussed in closed session. Okay, item D, discussion and possible action.
You call for a vote.
Oh, sorry. I'm a rookie, guys. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, all opposed? None. Motion passes. All righty. Letter D, discussion and possible action to renew probationary contract for teacher for the 2018-2019 school year. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, I move that you approve to renew the probationary
So moved.
contract for teacher as
Second.
discussed.
Okay, we have a motion by Andrew, a second by Dr. Jaime Rodriguez. Any further discussion? Oh, all those in favor, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry about that, guys. All those opposed? None. Motion approved. Letter E, discussion and possible action to renew term contract for librarian for 2018-2019 school year. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we recommend that you renew the term contract for librarian for the 2018-2019 school year as discussed in closed session.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Andrew Gonzalez, second by Dr. Jaime Rodriguez. Any further discussion? Nope. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. Motion passes. Okay, item number 8, adjournment.
So move.
Now's the time.
The time is
The motion.
12:49. All right. Hold on. All righty, this is a workshop, and the time is 12:50. And on the agenda, we have policy JKD, local community relations. non-school use of school facilities, policy F and F, local student rights and responsibilities, interrogations and searches, and the 2018-2019 budget. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we'd like to start with GKD Local Community Relations. In looking at the way that we allow others to use our facilities, we have nonprofit and we have allowed some for-profit. Our current policy holds us only to nonprofit, so we'd like to discuss that with you. We have Mr. Garcia, Sergio Garcia, who will go through our current policy, show you what some other districts do, and then give you some options so you can direct us about which way we'd like to go in the future as we look at a first reading at a future board meeting. Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Dr. Canales. Good afternoon, Mr. Caballero, members of the board. We wanted to bring you some information on a policy that we would like to review with you and get some guidance from you as to what direction we want to take. From time to time, we have outside entities who come in and they would like to lease some of our facilities. Sometimes they are nonprofit, sometimes they are profit. Most of the time they are nonprofit, as I'm going to show you. And when we do lease out to the for-profit, it's not in line with our policy. So that's what we'd like to do, is correct that. If the board decides that they do want to go with leasing out to for-profit, then we need to change the policy. So that's why I am here to provide you with that information. If you look at the current policy, the way it reads, and you have it before you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Aguilar. The current policy, the way it reads, among other things, is that the district shall permit nonprofit organizations to use our facilities as long as these activities do not conflict with school use or with policy. And then, of course, we have the for-profit organizations that we shall not permit. And that's what I was talking about, that it's not in line with what the practice that we currently do in our district. In both cases, there is a fee for nonprofit and for-profit. So the question here is, what direction would the board like for us to take? So that is the policy as it reads right now. This policy was last updated in 2007. So then we had a discussion among, different stakeholders, the cabinet, some of the other departments, and we talked about, well, what would be some of the advantages and disadvantages of leasing out to nonprofit, to for-profit. So some of the advantages, obviously, fees collected will increase our revenue, and of course, we will be developing business relationships with the community, and I'll give you an example in a little bit. And then, of course, some of the disadvantages, sometimes it might pose a potential liability if the message or activity is not in line with the interests or the philosophy of WISD. Also, the general liability insurance, I checked with Mr. De La Rosa, and it doesn't cover the wear and tear of facilities. And then, of course, if we decide to rent to one individual or one entity for profit, then, of course, we've got to open it up to everybody else. We also did a little research on other school districts and what is it that they do. So just a little chart right here with that information. If you look at Los Fresnos, Donna, Mission, La Jolla, they all have, they do provide the facilities for lease for nonprofit and for profit. Brownsville does allow the use for nonprofit, but for profit, they don't unless it's authorized by the board. If the board decides that, yes, let's go ahead and do it, then it's allowed. Harlingen allows for both profit and nonprofit, but Edinburgh, McAllen, Weslaco, PSJ, and of course ourselves, Weslaco, we allow for nonprofit but not for profit. Okay, and then I just provided the last time that these policies were updated for each respective school district. Just to give you an idea of the different organizations that lease from us, lease our facilities for nonprofit, we have all of those listed right there. Mostly churches. However, we do have Head County Head Start. And if you look at the very end, we have Chamber of Commerce, who yearly they have the Miss Onion Fest and the Miss Weslaco. And then we have very few for-profit. We have an individual by the name of Meli Olivares Benefit Concert, and of course, a Burden School of Dance. So then the options for the board to consider, do we go either with option number one, do we keep as it is? For nonprofit, yes, we do provide the facilities for a fee, and for profit, no. Would you like for us to go with option number two, nonprofit, yes, and for-profit as well? And then if so, do we open it up completely? Or do you want us to do for-profit but only at as required by board approval? Or C, only the event advances the WISD complete educational experience and knowledge, skills, talents, et cetera. Or if you want us to completely just say no to nonprofit and for-profit. The new policy language would read something like this. The district shall permit individuals and for-profit organizations to use its facilities for financial gain when these activities do not conflict with school use or with this policy. Or if there is going to be a change, the district shall permit individuals and for-profit organizations to use its facilities for financial gain, and then TASB provided us with some language that we could use. For example, however, the district shall permit public performances, recitals, or presentations as long as no admission fee is charged, and of course that the activities do not conflict with school use or with this policy. And then it provides the other examples. An exception to this prohibition shall be made for private academic instruction when these activities do not conflict, and the district shall permit private academic instruction as well as public performances, recitals, or presentations, so as long as no admission fee is charged when these activities do not conflict, again, with school use or with this policy. Now, we wanted to also provide your fee schedules. Mr. Oscar Riojas and Mr. Carlos Robledo are here. They are the ones who deal mostly with leases of our facilities so that they can provide you, some relevant information about the type of fees that we have in our district, and if that's a direction that you want us to take. Coach?
Coach, before we go to fees, let me just ask a question. Mike, for a nonprofit or for-profit, do we require them to carry their own insurance and add WISD as an additional insured?
Yes, sir.
Do we do that currently?
Yes, sir.
For everything.
For everything? Do we verify coverage?
Yes, sir. We have them submit the standard accord certificate of insurance. They give it to Coach, and I look at it, and we make sure it's legit.
Yeah, and the other thing, we make sure that it's not expired. Sometimes,
That's why I'm saying, do y'all verify?
yes.
Okay.
And the same thing for the Performing Arts Center?
Yes.
So for the nonprofit organizations, do you guys verify the status, the nonprofit status? Because there is a website that y'all can go into and see if they're, because anybody can carry around a paper,
Right.
with a nonprofit organization, but they have to renew every
Renew
year.
every year.
So if they don't renew, they're not, they're really nonprofit.
Yes, sir. As far as athletics, sir, we haven't had any nonprofits, so we haven't had to need to do that, but I'm sure that maybe,
Yes, we have them verify their number to us, and we have to look it up and make sure it's still active.
Okay.
Their 501c3 number.
okay, so, good afternoon, Dr. Canales, Mr. Caballero, members of the board. So what we did have a survey. We did survey the valley, kind of look at what are the going range of fees for facilities from gymnasiums, football stadiums, baseball fields, softball fields. We also put together a facility rental request form. It's just kind of a basic informational form, so that if you are in the need or interest of using one of our facilities, we kind of want to make the process simple, easy, self-explanatory. Of course, they can call us at any time, but we kind of give them a list of things that need to be in place before anything is going to take place. Obviously, the first thing that we always ask is a facility use form. Number two is liability insurance. Without those two items on file, there is no official request yet. So if you would go to the facility rental fee schedule, we did create a nonprofit fee after school before 6:30, and then also a nonprofit fee after 6:30, regular school days and non-school days. And we have we'll go with the first item, for example, Bobby Lackey Stadium with no lights. That is $1,000. That's pretty much the going rate for stadiums. If you're a nonprofit, after hours, it's $1,250 for the rental. That's just the stadium. That's not including any personnel. That is just the rental of the facility. If you are a for-profit, that is at $2,000. Okay, and so on. Down the list. We also have a Bobby Lackey Stadium with lights, so if you're asking to use lights, if you see, the price increases from $2,000 for profit to $2,500 for profit.
So at a stadium,
Mhm.
at a stadium, the fee is $2,500,
Yes, sir.
but someone could go there and make $10,000. They could have some kind of program and make $10,000 a profit.
There's a chance that they could. That fee is strictly only the stadium fee. That's not including any personnel or workers. Yeah. Now,
There's a big profit to be made.
right.
Could
So
be.
what we've done, sir?
So far, have
Yes,
you
sir.
ever rented this where someone,
No, sir. No, sir. We have been very
I would
close
not
to.
be in favor of that.
We have been very close to, sir, if I may. A couple of years ago, we had the professional soccer league come in, and they were very close. That fee for them was way different. That was closer to a $10,000 fee for the rental of the facility.
We worked hard for our facilities, and I'm sure not in agreement to get anyone to use them.
Yes, sir.
That's me.
And these numbers are, again, are very, very, I guess, competitive based on what's the going rate across the valley. These are not concrete numbers. They're just numbers that for us to.
Coach, my
to
concern
consider.
is in the gym, and I think that's the one that
Mhm.
gets used the most.
Okay.
For many years, I've been on this board going on 4 years, and from day one, it's always been the people that use our gyms, throw tournaments, and raise tons of money, and yet we can't account for that money.
Mhm.
And usually on a tournament like that, I know they can gross a little bit over $85,000 to $10,000.
Right.
Very easy. With Dr. Rivera's concerns about, we're renting it for $1,000 and they're making a, $9,000 profit, that's pretty hard to swallow. When I see your breakdown of security, maintenance, and custodial services, it's gonna charge for the 4 hours, one of each. Basically, it's $400. If you get one custodial at 4 hours, one maintenance at 4 hours, and one security at 4 hours, it's only $400. If I did it right, I'm not
Right.
sure. Not the greatest
Yeah,
at math.
that-
So
it-
if
it
you're looking
varies.
at it, it's gonna cost them $1,400. And then to them to turn around and make $10,000, I have a hard time with that. Now, if you tell me,
Yeah.
Mr. Gonzalez, it's $1,400, yes, but they're turning around, if they make 10, they're giving us 5,000, that goes back to us over here, that's different. But that doesn't happen, and I know it doesn't happen. And that's my concern, because
Right.
here we are, for the last 2 years, we've been working on facilities, whether it's roofing, new building, new flooring at our gyms, new air cons at our gyms, they're getting used a lot. And I don't mind, again, but this fee schedule has to show that it's gonna be able for us to maintain if we have to spend extra money to fix
Right.
these deals. Again, I'm just kind of sitting along with Dr. Rivera on this one. I think our facilities, we lend them out. I know we do. I know there's keys to every gym that's out there. How you recoup those keys to get them back, I don't know. But if it's for our kids, dale gas.
Right.
Coach,
Go, if Dr. Jaime has his son's JV basketball team and he puts in a request to use one of our gyms, then okay, I can see it. He's a dad coaching his son's team those students are in our school district.
where do those tournaments fall in, Coach?
Well-
I know there's they take advantage of these tournaments to
Right.
raise money for summer ball.
Right.
and,
So,
Where would those fit into?
right, so those tournaments have been going on in Wesco for quite a while, and so what we've done is we've always worked with our basketball coaches, and we have these tournaments. They're a form of fundraising for the basketball programs. They have concession. The concession goes right back to their activity account, so that's a huge fundraiser for them, so they can use throughout the year as needed. The gentlemen, there's two main gentlemen that have these tournaments here in Wesco ISD. They have them valley-wide, and so they bring 20, 30 teams to these tournaments. There's an entry fee per team.
Yeah.
What we've done in the past is we've worked with the gentlemen so that our teams bring about a case of water or pay a minimal fee, entry fee, so that they can participate in the tournament. And one of the things that we've always stressed is, we'd rather have the tournaments in our own backyard if we can, so that our students don't have to travel, have to pay gas, go feed, have to pay a regular entry fee. But however, as Mr. Gonzalez has mentioned, yes, our gyms are used highly. And so a lot of times what happens is it does interfere with my having to recondition the gyms for September 1 volleyball starts. So we always work on that, trying to make sure that we get the gyms available for first week of volleyball.
What is
The
a
way-
number,
Sir?
what is I'm playing devil's advocate.
Mhm.
What's the cost to play in one of those tournaments? Per
Gosh,
team?
I'm not sure. I think the fee is maybe like $150, $200
Probably about
a team.
150 on
Yeah,
average?
Yeah, around there, around 150. And he's given, the gentleman has provided us.
They charge at the door as well, I think.
Yeah, they charge the gate, and the gentleman has provided us with a breakdown. I met with Mr. Sanchez, where he takes the fees, he pays for officials, he pays, there is a pretty big expense to putting these tournaments together. But I think that one of the reasons that we're trying to bring this item to you all for a little direction is to try to facilitate that or future. Because I think once we get this ironed out and this is the process we're going to follow, I think it's going to facilitate a lot of things. To answer your question, Mr. Rodriguez, I don't know that he falls under a profit or nonprofit. I wouldn't be able to answer that question to you, clearly.
So I guess my biggest problem is kids that aren't allowed or
Mhm.
aren't good enough to be on some of these select teams, and I know we have tons of them,
Mhm.
don't get to use our facilities. We have softball select teams that use our facilities. And a regular dad or a regular mom that wants to take their kids out either don't know the process of getting the facility
Mhm.
or don't know anybody that can say, yes, go ahead. It's a huge concern for me.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that it happens at both schools, but I know it happens at Wesco High a lot. Now, that's just because you're driving all the time
Right. Mhm.
down the main corridor.
Mhm.
And so those are my concerns. And more importantly, it's the liability. Wear and tear and liability.
Correct.
Our coaches keep asking and asking and asking, and that's just to keep up. That's not even redoing any of the surfaces at any of these playing fields. We
Mhm.
don't have turf at our softball, baseball fields.
Right.
So wear and tear, I know you said the maintenance is about $40,000 a year when it comes to water, fertilizer.
Around there.
So, again, we open up our other schools, they can use our backstops, they can use all those things at the different elementary sites that we have. If they
Mhm.
want to use it, then use it. I know school districts that don't allow their main stadium and their main baseball, softball parks to be used. Is it great? Yes. But our city, and Oscar sits on one of the boards, they have nice parks as well. And our parks are really coming up now, but, this is good, and I understand it generates money for us.
Mhm.
But I really like to see, is the money that is generated from this enough to say, hey, well, it's gonna pay for the maintenance of that
Yeah.
building or that floor or the energy that we used on the air conditioner. Again, playing devil's advocate here.
Right.
But I think before we move on with any of these things, y'all really have to have a true number of what it costs the district and what it's costing those who are renting it from us.
Yes, sir. I'll give you a quick number that's very accurate. Bobby Lackey Stadium, Friday night, Wesco versus Wesco East or any Friday night football game, at the end of the night, the turnkey job for Wesco ISD to run the event is closer to $10,000. That's K-West, that's security, that's custodial, that's everybody involved, turning on the lights, game night, Wesco ISD's hosting one of our district games, it's $10,000. That's what it costs.
When you rent the stadium, do they use the scoreboard?
We do give them an option. We do give them a K-West crew or option whether you want it or not. For the K-West crew, I believe we have them, I
Because
usually
that's
charge
not
them.
on here.
Yeah, no, sir. We usually charge them $1,500 if they want the K-West crew. And that's just to pay for their overtime.
So if they use our lights, it's 1,500? I'm sorry, 2,500?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Plus 1,500 if they want to use
K-West.
K-West.
Yes, sir.
So that's only 4,000, where it's costing us 10,000.
It depends on the event. That's,
Again,
yeah, it
I
depends on the event.
understand,
Yeah.
but, so I'm just saying, that it
Right.
just, so that the public's aware that how much it actually costs us.
Yeah, that's what it costs us on a Friday night, yes, sir, about 10,000. But we can certainly revisit the numbers and come up with, especially for the for-profit rate, and we'll bring it back to you guys.
I'm fine. I don't know if you, any of the other gentlemen have any more questions.
No.
I'm good. Again, Coach, I'm just playing
Yes, sir.
devil's advocate here. Just, we're gonna do this, and we gotta know specifics.
So for now, we have nonprofit and no for, right now it's yes and no, correct?
Right, correct, yes, sir.
It's, yes,
Mhm.
it's,
And
yes for nonprofit. However, in the history, we've had some for-profit.
For-profit.
Yeah.
Right,
But the nonprofits do make a profit.
yes,
Yeah. It's kind of,
yes.
Yep.
So we're going to change the policy, it's keeping as is, and/or open it up for profit,
Yeah.
then with whatever stipulations and
whatever that
fees
fee
we
is,
would
I
like.
think if we open it up, then that fee has to be in line with what actual numbers are. And not just kind of
Yeah.
giving it away, because I understand it's gonna go to, if it's for somebody here locally, but I think
Right.
there's other avenues we can go with people locally or an organization that's,
And I think what we need to come up with is a fee that, this is a standard fee, depending on the event, because depending on the size of the event and what actually is happening will determine how much personnel we need to have there on that evening, so that also will play a factor on the total fee. But we can certainly look at it, yes, sir.
I don't have any.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take your information and your input and try to put something together and bring it back to you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're done with the first one. So, Policy FNF local, student rights and responsibilities, interrogations and searches. Dr. Canales?
Board of Trustees, in the past, you had asked, some of you had asked about looking into drug testing of students involved in extracurricular activities. We've done some initial work on this. I want to share with you what we have on it, and Coach Oscar Riojas will lead this part.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Canales. Mr. Caballero and members of the board, good afternoon. I have a quick presentation on Wesco ISD random drug testing program. We did some work, some preliminary studies, and wanted to share with you some information that was very important. So why implement random student drug testing, a powerful prevention program? Give students a valid reason to resist pressures to use drugs, prevents injury, helps the students who start using drugs by directing them to counseling, helps identify students who have progressed to addiction so they can receive treatment. And this would apply to all junior high and high school students participating in extracurricular activities, grades 7 through 12. Okay? Random student drug testing is non-punitive. Students are not referred to a legal system. Test results remain confidential. Results are destroyed when a student leaves school or graduates. Results are not forwarded to other locations, and it is confidential information. Information is only shared with those that need to know, for example, parents, program directors, coaches, and/or sponsors. So the prohibited behavior, of course, is illegal drugs and drug paraphernalia. The use, sale, or offer to sell, purchase, transfer, manufacture, or possession in any detectable manner of illegal drug, performance-enhancing drug, or alcohol, a lookalike substance is strictly prohibited. On the education part, education of students, staff, parents, and the community it would be an ongoing process. We look to use the following means of education upon further approval: teacher staff training, mentoring, individual and/or group counseling, community activities, parent education, Red Ribbon Week, and of course, our Weslaco ISD Drug Awareness and Prevention Program. This is a new program that Ms. Norma Brewer is implementing for this year. It would be an after-school program that would provide some benefits to our students. The process, consent forms. So all parents and interested students must sign a consent form. Refusal by a student or his or her parent guardian to sign the consent form will result in forfeiture of the privilege to participate in any extracurricular activities for Weslaco ISD. Parents would be asked to list prescribed medications to prevent questions later. Consequences. So on the first offense, suspension for 15 days from extracurricular activities. The individual will be able to practice but will not be able to play. Minimum of 4 hours of Weslaco ISD counseling. Must be tested once a month for the calendar year. And of course, mandatory completion of our Weslaco ISD Drug Awareness and Prevention Program. Second offense, suspension for 30 days from the extracurricular activities. Cannot practice and cannot play. Minimum of 8 hours of Weslaco ISD counseling. Must be tested once per month for the next calendar year. And also mandatory completion of Weslaco ISD Drug Awareness and Prevention Program. Third offense, suspension from athletics for 1 calendar year. Minimum of 16 hours of Weslaco ISD counseling for external counseling, and mandatory completion of WISD Drug Awareness and Prevention Program. The implementation plan. Implementation of the program, of course, upon superintendent and board approval. The voluntary admittance of a substance abuse problem by a student up until that would be determined will result in the individual having the following consequences. Mandatory Weslaco ISD suspension of substance abuse counseling, mandatory test at the end of the 30 days with mandated monthly testing for the next calendar year, no suspension from activities unless a subsequent positive test occurs. So in this slide, if the board were to approve for us to move forward, a student could come forth and say, hey, by the way, I have been, doing drugs, then he would not be suspended, but he would have to test as we move along. Okay, procedures. Each student participating in extracurricular activities will be assigned a number. This is one option. These numbers will be sent to the drug testing company so they can randomly select. District personnel will arrange to have students brought to the testing site. Urine sample will be collected, and when results come in, administration in charge of drugs testing will inform the parents of any student who tests positive. And then, of course, we would have this on the website, and you would go to board policies. It would be policy F&F, local and legal. Any questions?
So what is the cost per testing?
Yes, sir.
One child?
Good question. I was able to get a hold of a testing site today, and it is a $30 per student cost, and that's a plan they call Panel 10. And that Panel 10, it includes your marijuana, your cocaine, amphetamines, and also any prescription medications. Like, I think some of the kids use something called barbiturates, the downers, things of that nature. Those would all be included for $30 a student. We did do a survey of schools across the valley. There's a good handful, I would say about 8 to 10 schools that are school districts that are drug testing. And depending on how severe they think the problem is, some are testing once a week, some are testing 4 times a year. Just to give you an idea, if we were to test 4 times a year here in Wesco, we're looking roughly at about $9,000 per test. And that would include the four middle schools and both high schools. And basically, the way it works is we have the power to select how many kids we want to get tested per month or per testing site. Most of them are doing 50 boys, 50 girls per high school, and then roughly about 20 kids per middle school, so 10 boys, 10 girls.
So for easy math, about 30,000 a year?
For easy math, about 35,000 a year. Yes, sir.
35.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes,
with
sir.
the 50, right?
Right, correct.
Now, Coach, I know you mentioned some of the drugs here on panel 10,
Mm-hmm.
but lately, you watch shows and on TV and stuff, and the other day, I shared with you that, I've been running and on the streets, they've been inhaling these CO2 cartridges, and I think now if you go to the stores and make it mandatory, you got to be 18 to purchase the CO2 cartridges. But will this panel 10 cover the CO2 cartridges?
I would have to call them and ask them, sir, to see if that,
Because everything they're doing now, I believe, is more towards the synthetic side
Uh-huh.
of stuff as opposed to traditionally what
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
people used to do back then.
the panel 10 will cover the PCP, the amphetamines, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce
I
this
can't
word too
pronounce
good.
them either.
This one's a hard one, but it's the very common panel that they're using right now across any schools that are drug testing.
I know you mentioned there's several school districts. Do you
Yes.
know them off the top of your head?
Yes, sir, we actually do have a list. Roma ISD, Sherryland ISD, Mission ISD, Lyford, Port Isabel, Raymondville. Some of the schools did not respond, so I'm not sure if they are or not. Like, for example, Los Fresnos, I'm not sure if they are. Donna, I'm not sure if they are or not. The rest of them are not. They did respond no. McAllen said no, Harlingen said no, San Benito said no, La Jolla said no, PSJA said no. So there's a good number of schools. Some of the feedback that I've gotten back, if I may, from the coaches, from the athletic directors, is it costly and very, very low turnouts of positives. That's the feedback that I'm getting from our. However, one of them did tell me that they feel that it has helped tremendously their athletic program. Some schools are even going a step further and saying if you are going to get a parking permit for our schools, you must also sign that you will be drug tested or be selected for random drug testing as well.
So not just the athletes?
Right, not just the athletes. So this one, it would be athletics, band, I think maybe cheer, and then anybody that drives a vehicle on campus with a parking permit, his or her name would also be added to the list.
Now, Coach, is this as a deterrent?
It's a major
Is that
deterrent, yes, sir.
what the primary focus is here?
I think the primary focus would be to deter kids, to give the kids an out, an official out. Because of the peer pressures out there, I think kids, our kids, our athletic kids, and/or anybody that's involved in UI academics or athletics, that gives them a true out to say, man, I'd rather not because, I don't want to test positive and have to miss out on any practices or game events. I think that's a pretty big tool there. And that's what I keep hearing from a lot of the people that I've spoken to is it has, they feel that it has made a positive impact in their programs.
And I think that's the key. I think if it can just deter,
Mhm.
and give them that incentive to,
Mhm.
hey, I want to participate. I want to keep playing, and
Mhm.
if it can deter them from doing this, I think, we would be giving them a great opportunity to stay clean and not only that, but the education side of it also, if they do happen to test positive and if we can implement, some of these programs where, they get the education along with their parents also, I think it would be very beneficial.
Right.
Very beneficial.
And that's, we keep hearing that. There was I was able to get a good list of pros and cons, and I think the cons are overweighing, or the pros are overweighing the cons.
I like the idea, and, and to maybe even extend it as far as, if parents, I've heard it a lot from parents that they say, sometimes I wonder if my son is doing kind of, some drugs, or because of who they hang out with, or, and maybe give them an option if they pay for it or whatever, maybe, they can take the test, if they want to know, the parent. Because I think a lot of the parents, not just the athletes or, not just a select group of kids, but there's still a lot of other kids out there that might be, and, and I think some of those parents would like to know as well.
Yes, sir.
But that's just,
Yeah,
Legally, you can implement it for any extra program that the student participates in, whether it's band, fine arts, any of those things. So it's not, doesn't have to be limited just to,
does a parking permit go under that?
yeah, you can make that part of the,
I think
part of it.
some of the concerns as a parent, as my son is getting older and you start to work, okay, he's going to go to junior high now, and we can't be there by themselves the whole time. But maybe knowing these, do we have them? Yes. Don't be blind. It happens in our schools at times. But if this is another way to deter them, to make it just that much harder to try to push their product on our students, I think this is a great avenue to start looking into, and if we can implement it quickly at $35,000 a year, I don't see it, that I see more on the safety side of protecting our students even more. I know, Dr. Canales, you've been working with our juvenile judge, Judge Bencourt. I know you've been meeting with our new police chief and trying to implement some new ideas. And if this is kind of following that trend, then at the end of the day, what we want is a safer school environment for our teachers and our students, and then trying to help them deter, and then giving them the counseling that normally they wouldn't be able to get with Ms. Brew and her staff to help these young students so that we don't lose them and so that they can continue. There's a study that shows that now just with a high school diploma, you're still behind the 8 ball. It's not till you get to a college degree on up now, some places are requiring masters, and if we lose them at the high school or at the middle school, we never catch up. They'll never be able to catch up. And what we're trying to produce is good young kids to bring themselves up so that they can continue our great community that we have here. And so, Coach, kudos to you and the staff to put in this together, because this, to me, like Oscar said, is great, no matter who you can reach out to in any avenue.
Right.
I think the sooner the better that we can follow up. I know this is just a workshop, but Dr. Rivera, in all your years, you've been different places. What do you think?
I agree. You're on target, what you said.
Okay.
And just to clarify,
Yes, sir.
this is for somebody who gets caught, using it. There's different policies for, somebody who's a supplier or somebody who's
Right.
selling, these products. But this is more just
Yeah.
for.
This is more for, yes, sir, it's a good question. This is, everything that I've read and, followed up and talked to school districts, this plan is not a part of the student code of conduct. This is a kind of a extracurricular
Trying to help them.
plan to try to help them
Yep.
and to give them the, one of the ideas that I liked, that I heard, was that the purpose of the plan is not to catch those that are doing drugs, is to prevent the ones that are thinking about it or maybe getting pressured to start. And, makes a lot of sense, but yes, sir, this is more for that. And so the first offense, second offense, third offense is hopefully we won't get to the third offense after the first. is to try to help the student out and give them some guidance.
And I think nowadays, it's
Yeah.
a different world, and some of these kids are hearing that, marijuana is okay and it's safe, and, they're not, there was a stat that was shared with me the other day that, a lot of the hardcore users started with something like marijuana.
Marijuana.
And so and that's what they usually have easier access to, because of the cost. So,
Right.
I think it's a great idea.
So another question on
Yes,
the
sir.
counseling. Is that going to be done through our counselors at the high schools, or is there a special group of counselors that were going to come in and?
What we are planning is to put together a program after school. It'll be offered once a week or maybe twice a week from 4 to 6, and have a component for students and parents. So we would either bring in our counselors or our social workers, because we do have social workers at all of our middle schools and high schools, to come in and provide that type of support to our students, and also awareness to the families.
All right, sounds good.
And Ms. Brewer and I have been working on that portion, or she has mainly on this portion of the plan. So thank you, Ms. Brewer, where'd you go? There you are. Thank you, Ms. Brewer, for your help and guidance with this. But this is very important. It's a very important component of the entire plan. Without this component, we're spinning in the mud. So this is very important, the counseling part.
That's the most important.
Right.
All right. Okay, so that, now we have the 2018-2019 budget. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this is a very preliminary budget preview for 2018-2019. Mr. Sanchez will be bringing the ball on this one for us.
Dr. Canales, Mr. Caballero, members of the board, I left you a copy of the presentation there. Like Dr. Canales said, this is the budget's a very preliminary stage right now. We're going to continue working, reviewing the numbers, comparing the current year budget, current year expenditures to date, what remains for the year, compared to what we're proposing for next year, to make sure that we haven't missed anything. And we'll adjust it if we have any of those cases. We are using preliminary property values provided by the appraisal district in April, March, April, and they will release the certified values on July 25th. So the property tax collection revenues we have are preliminary based on that. On slide number 3, we have a presentation on ADA. It's a table like what we've done in prior years that shows what we have. For the current year, on the last item on the table, 2017-2018 year, we budgeted 16,170 ADA. We only achieved 15,905. So we're 265 short from that. That is the one that we had mentioned before, that it was about $2 million short from getting the state revenues for ADA. So we'll be working through the cabinet, with the schools principals, to work on a plan to increase an enrollment, now that we have open enrollment approved by the board, and make sure that the students that are enrolled come to school. And we'll be providing more information on that. Mr. Aguilar, Ms.
Brewer. Ms. Brewer. Mrs. Brewer.
Sorry, yes. Ms. Brewer are working on a plan right now that we're sharing with the principal. We'll be meeting with them as well. We'll give them more information as we have it ready. The budget is based on preliminary taxable values of $2,413 million. That represents about $121 million increase compared to last year. Again, in July, we'll have the better values. Once they're certified, we'll let you know what the final numbers are. The budget is based on a tax rate of 1.1597, same as last year, which is made up of $1.1397 of M&O, maintenance and operations tax, and 2 pennies of INS, interest and sinking. The current collections are budgeted at a 91% tax collection rate. Our collection goal is 93%. Every year, the last 3 years, we have exceeded 93 between 93 and 94. So we want to budget it 91. That way, whatever we exceed, we use it as surplus in case we're short on something else. Hopefully, if we're not short, then we can add it to our fund balance for facilities or other needs in the future. Our delinquent tax collections are budgeted at a 20% tax collection rate. The collection goal is 27%. Pay raises are listed on page 7. So are we going to page 5? The budget reflects an amount allocated to all the campuses based on the ADA for the prior year, the 2017-2018 year. This amount is not used to cover payroll, band, fine art, utilities, maintenance, custodial, energy management, or security expenditures of the schools. Elementary schools get $120 per ADA, middle schools $135, and high schools $200. The budget includes additional allocations for the students in band, orchestra, mariachi, and choir for high schools and middle schools. The high school get $450 per student, and the middle schools $80. And we also, same as last year, or the current 17-18 year that just ended, we have a budget for fine arts in the allocated. High schools have theater arts, dance, and visual arts, same as middle schools, and the elementary schools have music and visual arts. And Mr. Bishop will be working with us, providing us, make sure that we have the correct amounts allocated by schools. On page 6, the contribution to the health insurance program, we've only included $15 per employee per month. We did a study in the claims that we have so far through April of 2018. And considering what we have right now through the end of the year, we estimate conservatively that we're going to break even. We're really hoping that we do not go over like we did last year, that we had a deficit. So for next year, we only allocated an increase of $15 in the budget per employee per month.
Andres,
Yes, sir.
real quick. Okay, so previous years, we were at 430. We increased it from 430 to 470 this year.
Yes, sir.
And now we're going to go to 485, so an additional money.
Yes, sir.
And we're going from $9 currently to 15. Mike, is that going to be enough money? I think this is where we come on the shortfall side of things. I know Blue Cross was able to save us money, and we're grateful for that. But will the $15 cost to the employee, is it gonna, and only kicking it up $15 on the other side, is that gonna be enough to?
With the, we're planning right now to bring up the employee-only rate to $20.
20 or 15?
20. And everybody else would be a $20 across-the-board increase on the plans. That should generate a little over $17 million. So it's really a little early in the year to tell where we're going to end up, but just based on a little bit of actual work that we did, I mean, we're anticipating closing out the year at about 16.3 million. So, and we budgeted 16.2, but like I said, that's,
Okay,
we're anticipating a break.
So we kick it up to $20 to the employee?
From 9 to 20.
From 9 to 20? And that still leaves us way below the,
That's the employee cost. Our cost
right.
is going
I
up.
know, our cost is going up to 45, $15 more from this previous year. But it's going up from $9 to $20 for the employee.
Out of the paycheck, right?
So you're estimating 17 million,
Correct,
más o menos, combined.
correct. And we'll have other,
Can you just, for budget purposes and for those that watch our meetings, and so that the employees aren't shocked that we're proposing to go from $9 to $20, can you give me a list of all the school districts of their deductibles, how much the employee has to pay, what the school pays, so that when they ask, because they're going to ask us, why are you guys going up on our insurance? So that we can say, listen, this is what we have to do to kind of help our budget out, but at the same time, this is how we compare to other districts near.
I have some data that I could share with y'all now. I put it just in case if you wanted to, take some time to do that now or later on, y'all.
And
It's
I'm
up to you
okay
guys.
if it's not going to take too much time, I mean.
Okay, well,
Yeah, put it on the screen up there.
Is there a way to put it up there?
Yeah, I have extra copies, but. Wasn't sure. And I'll put this in the update, so that way
Please.
we'll have it. Yes, I'll get it. So we have to account for the expenditures that we have in this fiscal year. We have to account for the runout that we paid for the prior plan, and those are our fiscal year ends on August 31st, but there's still claims that were incurred before that date. So that's what's known as called a runout. So we have to cover that in this year's expenditures. So we paid about 1.1 million in runout to the prior TPA, and this is the last column where it says actual through April. Maybe I should go through it here. So this would be, unless you can, it'd be that one right there. So we paid $5.4 million in claims so far. We anticipate approximately 3.3 million for the rest of the year. So that'd be from May through August, okay? Prescription drugs, we spent $2.2 million so far, and we estimate another $1.2 million for the remainder of the year. In admin fees, we paid approximately $2.2 million so far, and that again is, of course, what we pay Blue Cross to administer the plan, our stop-loss fees, our stop-loss premiums, excuse me. So running out the end of the year, we're looking at 991,000. So, and that should be pretty safe number because our population won't change. We're anticipating about $150,000 that would come back to us due to stop-loss reimbursement. That comes up to about $16.3 million. So based on the calculations that we did, and like I said, right now it looks estimated shortage of approximately $71,000, but that could be, you know, in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty much a good break-even number. Just to account for to start building reserves in the plan, we need to, we're estimating the funding at $17 million for next fiscal year.
So that gives us at the $45 and the $20 cost to the employee.
If you flip around, these are the rates that we're proposing. Of course, our funding level going up to 485, and then what the increase to the employee would be. So as you can see, from current employee only, we pay $9. That would go up to $20, which is right there. And then everything else would be a $20 increase across the board. And then what other districts are doing, if you want to do that one, that would be the following page. So you have Weslaco ISD, San Benito, Harlingen, Donna, PSJ, McAllen, and Edinburgh. So I want to highlight, these are basically, for comparison purposes, these are plans that are similar to the base plan, okay? So for example, Weslaco ISD's base plan is limited here. This is San Benito, the next one's San Benito ISD. That's actually their high plan, or their state plan, if you will. So what I want you to pay attention is under cost monthly, employee only, and I'll let, you see it on this there? It's gonna be at the bottom, right there. Okay, there's $20 right there. That's what we're proposing to go to. Like I said, we're still doing some research. For San Benito ISD, employees pay $56.73 a month. Harlingen CISD still is a zero employee cost. However, if you notice, their deductibles are higher. They have a $1,500 deductible versus a $750 that we have. Their co-pays on their prescription drugs are a little higher. So, and then of course you have the what they contribute. They contribute $421.61. For Donna ISD, it's a very similar plan to ours. They charge their employees $15, but look at the highlighted number. They fund actually $505. So they fund it a lot higher. PSJA, very similar plan design to ours. They currently don't charge the employee anything. However, look how much they contribute to their plan as $565. So they contribute a lot of money into the fund.
McAllen ISD, $1,000 deductible, 70/30. Their drug co-pays are very similar to ours. However, the cost to the employee is $52 a month. That's what they charge their employees. And then finally, Edinburgh ISD, benefit structure is similar. They have a $1,000 deductible, we have $750, but they charge their employees $90 a month. And they fund at $464. So even coming up, increasing our rates to that, we're still below a lot of the other districts. And if we're not below, then our benefits are a lot better
Right.
than the districts that cost less.
Thank you for having this actually ready. Please put in the update.
Yes, sir.
But it goes a lot, just that the employees are well aware of what our budget is starting to look like moving forward.
Yes, sir, we'll send it on the update.
Okay, I will continue. On the third bullet on this page, page 6, when we presented the budget for the current year, last year, indicating that we had a 2-cent increase in the INS tax rate, we indicated that that amount would generate about $1 million between local taxes and state taxes, state aid. So, and $1 million will be used by the district not transferring from the local maintenance fund to the debt service fund an amount to pay bonds. So we did not transfer money. We did not transfer the $1 million. We kept it in the local maintenance fund. And it is being used to fund the budget right now the way we have it. Let me go over that again. Last year, on the 2 cents, when we raised it, we said this is going to raise about $1 million, $400,000 in taxes, about $600,000 in IFA, ADA, state aid. By having that extra money in the INS fund, we're going to transfer less amount to that fund from local maintenance to pay the bonds, which we have been doing every year. Follow me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, so this year, we transfer $1 million less. We're looking at budgeting only a transfer of $1,500,000 to the INS debt service fund to pay the bonds, which is almost $4 million the payment that we have to make. Because we raised $1 million, so we have some money in fund balance at the beginning of the year. On the fourth bullet, we had discussed resource officers for safety and security of our schools. We have spoken about 6 officers, which would cost us approximately $285,000. Those are not included in the budget yet, but that is the amount that it would cost us to fund them. We have not included any transfer to the construction fund for facility repairs or renovations. Conservatively, administration estimates that with the additional tax collection that we have so far, collected more than budgeted, and not spending some of the contingency fund that we had allocated at the beginning of the year, that will make up for the loss of the state ADA revenues and break even for the fiscal year. If there are any surplus funds at the end of the year, we will allocate them as an increase to the undesignated unassigned fund balance, which is currently $17.5 million. We had thought about making it $18 million this year. If we have the funds, we'll like to add it. If not, whatever we have, we will allocate it to that fund balance. The second to the last bullet says the district has invested in repairing facilities that are needed for our students and staff at a cost of almost $38 million, which have been funded by $19.5 million from fund balance assigned for facilities or other needs and the local construction fund. And we have also borrowed $18.5 million from loans received. We have received $70 million, you'll remember, that we started for facilities, and then we're borrowing $1.4 million for the scoreboard. So altogether, it's almost $38 million. So this has placed a substantial strain on our finances. So we're trying to be very frugal, and we need to be frugal from now on watching our budget, expenditures, whatever we have, whether it is a staff project that we want to do. We want to make sure that we're buying things that are productive for the school district. We're currently evaluating a lot of things right now. If they're working, we'll do them. If not, we will not continue them, so be careful with our budget.
I have a question real quick.
Yes, sir.
On the bond that did not pass, we had asked for a loan of 109. million?
109, yes, sir.
And that was going to cover all the needs that we are spending right now, which is the 19.5 million and the 18.5, is that correct?
Yeah, that and a lot more.
And, well, of course, a lot
Yes,
more.
sir.
And so right now, we're spending $38 million. And then on the bond, I know we were going to get 109. We were going to pay back
Only 39 million.
only $39 million. So
But see-
actually, we're still having to pay the same amount of monies, and we could have, and
That-
we lost
right.
out
And we
on,
could have gotten an extra
we
70
lost
million.
out on, what is it, 60?
Yeah, 70 million that we
About
could have
$70
gotten
million?
also. For the same amount we're spending, yes. We're
Okay.
paying 100% of everything that we had to borrow, unfortunately,
Right,
because there's no
exactly.
bond.
No, I just wanted to make sure that I was correct on that, so the community could
Yes, sir.
hear that. Thank you.
And also, the budget, and I'm going to show you at the end a slide on information. The budget right now does not include any vacancies. We usually include some vacancies for teachers and some other positions that we have listed. We have a list right now of about $3 million that we had initially put together. We're evaluating right now those vacancies to see what we really need so that we can work with that in the budget. And we are, well, let's see. The next page, page 7, shows the employee raises, pay raises that we have worked with. On the first column, second column, shows proposed pay raises for teachers of $1,200. Administrative staff, 2% of the midpoint. And paraprofessional, technical trades, and manual trade staff, 3% of their midpoint. The gross wages for that is $2.7 million. And this includes all funds, local, state, and federal funds. We also consider raising the pay raise for teachers to $1,500 instead of $1,200. And that would add an additional $365,000 to the amount for a total of $3,078,000. We also consider, instead of raising the teachers to $1,500, raising the paraprofessional, manual trades, and technical trade staff pay raise to 4%. That would increase an additional $347,000. So if that is the only additional increase we do, that would amount to $3,060,000. And a third alternative we looked at was raising the teachers' pay raise to $1,500, leaving the administrators at 2%, and raising the paraprofessional staff to 4%. So have both the teachers and paraprofessional staff have additional pay raise. That would be an additional $711,000 for a total of $3,425,000. Right now in the budget, only the first column is listed. The other ones, the other alternatives are not in.
Andres, what do we give this year?
1,200, sir.
And on the
To the
manual-
manual
teachers.
trades, didn't we give
5%.
5%.
We gave them 5%.
5%.
So right now, you do have budgeted 2.7 million?
Yes, sir, that is
It's already
budgeted.
in your-
That is included in the budget. And that is, like I said, in all the funds, not just the local maintenance and general fund.
What if we did 1,000 for the teachers and 5% for the manual trades? Andres?
Yes, sir.
this- Can you tell me what 1,000 for the teachers and the 5% for the para would do, based on your 2.7?
5% for the paras.
Yeah. So
The 5% alone would be about another 365,000 increase to go to 5%. And you're saying to leave the teachers at 1,000?
instead of 1,200, 1,000.
That one, let's see, that's,
Are these substitutes under any of these?
no, they're not listed in here.
Okay. 'Cause I don't think we've given anything to substitutes, I guess, in a while, or I don't know where we're at with substitutes.
We'll reduce the 200 from teachers. It'll cover some of the additional 365.
It's 280,000.
So it would be an increase of 66,000 to make the paraprofessional military staff at 4% and the teachers only at 1,000.
Additional 85,000 requested.
Can you just put in the update?
Sure.
And maybe a 1 with a 4? I know you have the 1,200 with the 4, but I
One with
think
1,000
if you
and-
give the
and
1
4.
and you leave the 4, then you're back at your 2.7 más o menos, no?
A little bit, yeah, almost 2.8.
Can you also look into the substitutes to see how we are with the surrounding cities, please?
Yes, we can look at that. On the next slide, just a statement that our state compensatory education budget includes enough funds to provide for accelerated instruction of students that are at risk of dropping out of school. That is the first consideration we have when looking at the state compensatory budget. The next slide is a breakdown of the debt service fund. This is the fund where we collect the INS taxes and deposit the IFA or EDA fund received from the state and from where we pay the bonds. We're expecting to end the year with almost $1,387,000 in fund balance at this fund. We expect the next year we'll collect about $456,000 of taxes and penalties, received from the state about $667,000, and then about $64,000 in interest income from the investment, and receiving a transfer of $1.5 million that I mentioned earlier, for a total of $4,074,000 available. From there, we will pay the bonds of $3,954,000. That will leave us almost $120,000 at the end of next year on this fund. The next slide.
What about the following year? Because you've gone from, on your first bullet, in 2018, you've gone from almost 1.4 million on 8/31/18. But for 8/31/19, it's 120 million.
Yes.
Have you projected for the following year?
Well,
for
we
20?
will have to increase the transfer. Instead of 1.5, at least 2.8.
Okay.
We used to transfer 5 million, started
Right.
going down little by little. With the refunding that we did, we started bringing the amount down to 4 million total. And we'll have to increase it.
Okay.
On slide 11, we have, 10. Jump one. We have the ADA listed for the last 7 years and show what we budgeted, what we actually achieve at the end of the school year with the best 4-6 weeks. And for 17-18, like I mentioned earlier, we had budgeted 16,170. We actually achieved only 15,905. For next year, the budget is based only on the 15,905. We wanted to be very conservative and keep it low. If it increases during the year, if we need to hire more teachers, for example, then we'll have money for the additional ADA revenue that was going to be generated to fund the additional teachers that we need to hire. But we wanted to go conservative, so we won't have something like what we have right now, that we're short $2 million on the ADA.
And real quick on the ADA, I know,
Yes, sir.
of course, we got a bump on the ELF, I guess the last couple of years, but this morning I saw on the news that Texas Migrant Council was not going to be in existence anymore, so I don't know what's going to happen to those kids. And that might be an opportunity for us to pick up some extra kids.
We currently only service one TMC, which is Downbridge. It's called the Progreso site. But I think, if I recall conversations with Ms. Peña, that had already been anticipated.
Right.
So we only have one teacher there that can be used elsewhere, of course, if those numbers, are no longer there for us.
Okay.
Okay.
So those students at the TMC either have to go to Head Start?
My
enroll?
understanding from the news report that I saw, I really don't know which TMC site that will pertain to, if it's including all, or
think
just
it's
a
all of them.
particular one that was misusing funds. We don't know that. I will get with Ms. Peña on that. But I did read on there that they would still be servicing students through other means as far as staff. Now, what that would mean to us, if we needed to revise the MOU to not service that center, we're talking about just one district teacher that we have there that we can definitely use elsewhere.
Right.
Okay.
From the idea and Elsa, how many parent requests have you received that might go to that school?
I don't have as far as the,
Would anyone know the information?
We don't have the exact number, but we're currently working on that, sir.
I know that in Monte Alto, we have 18 requests so far
that are
to
going.
go from Monte Alto to the Elsa idea. So I know they've been sending information already, so you all should have that
Yeah,
somewhere.
we have been having some meetings about some record requests through T-Rex.
that we've been experiencing some issues with ideas, so we're being very firm on releasing records unless we have the consent of the
But
parents.
it's the parents have asked
Okay, we don't
to
have that
to release the
information yet.
records. You all should have that somewhere. You might take a look at it.
We're keeping, we also have the T-Rex requests that come in, Dr. Rivera. And TA
Yeah.
guided us to not even release anything because you can't have a student enrolled
No,
in
no.
two districts.
Yes, but-
And so the
But
campus,
if the parent is saying, I'm gonna take my kid next year to IDEA, you have to release the student's record.
yeah, to the parent. And we're keeping, there's a log that our campuses are keeping for anything that comes in T-Rex, and for any, we need to make sure it's any
Any
parent who's also
request.
coming in to request.
Because when
So we
they
have the
enroll, if you
conversation.
lose and when they enroll, you're gonna have to release that information.
Right.
What we can do is provide that information in your update as soon as we get with PEMS and get a number on that.
I
But
know,
what
I know that at Cal Chelsea, they've also had a big request from parents
to
that
go-
are going from Ed Cal Chelsea to the ELSA IDEA.
Yeah.
Just kind of take a look at it.
Yes, sir.
What I can
It'll give you a
als-
good gauge of how many you're
Yes.
gonna lose for next year.
Yeah.
Going to that school. Only that school, and you have others here too.
The plan, Dr. Rivera, what we have with our principals is what they're doing, as soon as they get a request, they're setting up a meeting with the parents to discuss that, what we have in place, what do we need to address, move forward with that, because we're going to do everything we can to make sure we keep our
That's-
students.
That's a good plan.
Yes, sir, that's what we're
But just
working
find
on.
out how many of these requests you've received.
Yes, sir, we'll get you that on the update. Yes, sir.
Mr. Caballero, what I wanted to add to the conversation on your question is, aside from the ELF, what we have seen from the open enrollment recruitment, we did have a pre-registration roundup for the open enrollment initiative, and we do show a total of 84 new to the district students that have pre-registered.
Okay.
So we took, the majority of the loss was in the elementary category, and I do see that the majority that have come in from outside of the district are elementary. So we're already up 84, so hopefully that'll continue.
Sounds good, because I know we're going to lose some kids, to IDEA, the new IDEA, especially up in the north side, because it's going to be a lot closer to their
For them.
home than it is to some of our schools, so just have to anticipate, more or less.
Where do those kids go to school? The ones,
Gonzalez?
Gonzalez?
Yeah, they get bused.
From bus, mile 15, 16?
Y'all can put up any WISD sign you want on my property because it lands just inside the school district property line. So,
For that county?
yes.
Okay.
So I'm on right before you get to 14 and a half. And I think the south side of 14 and a half is Weslaco ISD, on the north side is ELSA. So my property is there. Please feel free to go
Put
put up
enrollment sign.
a big old sign. Bring them to us.
Thank you.
Put it up this afternoon.
Okay, on slide 11, have information on the peak enrollment for the past 7 years. For the 2017-2018 year, second row from the bottom, we have 17,446 students enrolled, which was a decrease of 37 from the prior year. For next year, we project a peak enrollment of 17,491 students, which would be an increase of 45 students. And the next slide, 12, mentions, shows the tax rate, which has been at 113.97 for the first 6 years. Then the current year went up by 2 pennies, and we're proposing the same tax rate for next year, $1.5097. And on the last page here, and now it's very small to see, and I'll just go over it real quick. On the top part, that is the proposed budget for next year, 2018, 2019. In the middle, we have the current year, 2017-19, and on the bottom is the change, the difference. On the total revenues, and this is only the general fund, is $171,376,000 in revenues. Of that, $136,211,000 is for payroll, and there's $33,145,000 non-payroll. The total expenditures is $169,357,000. That leaves an amount of $2,019,000 available, of which we set up a transfer of $1.5 million to the debt service fund. And that shows at the end, highlighted in yellow, $519,130 as a surplus. Now, from this surplus, like I said, we need to adjust from it vacancies that we're going to be planning. We'll be, hopefully for the workshop in June, we'll have better information to provide to you. Anything on the resource office that we add to the budget, and any other changes that we come up with because we figure something we hadn't calculated correctly, we'll give you better information. And this, as marked on the top, is a draft, because we're still checking it, make sure that we have the information correctly.
It's a good first report
Okay, thank you.
on the budget. You have to go, guys.
All righty.
Thank you, Doc.
Ivan, so this concludes?
Yeah. you can just
So this
adjourn
concludes the
workshop.
budget workshop. It is 2:05. Thank you.
You have to hit the gavel.
Oh, we didn't, yeah, we forgot to ask. This is the budget meeting.
What do you need us to do next?
That'll go below factor.
Anyway.